Alright, this is week 5 of sports psychology video, and we're just gonna get started. Question 1, what serves as your anchor during difficult times and how stable do you believe it is? Based on what I read on the article, I think that my anchor is mostly like my morals and values and striving for the type of person I want to become, and just treating everyone with kindness, and just essentially my morals, like my moral standing is kind of where that goes, and like how I want to be perceived as others is kind of what my anchor is. Normally I reference that. And then I think it's pretty stable. I've always been pretty steadfast in my morals and beliefs. I don't really change those no matter what other people may think or believe. I'm pretty hard fast on all of that. Question 2, what are the 5 areas is currently your weakest and why? I would say out of the 5 areas, probably my physical capacity, just because after I graduated high school after my knee injury, I haven't gotten back into working out as much as I used to, and I've actually planned on getting back into doing that based on some different strength training, and I want to take up running, so that is my plan for in the future. But this week I'm going on a backpacking trip, 16 miles, so that is going to be improving my physical capacity. And then question 3, how can athletes, exercisers use positive or instructional self-talk to enhance concentration and performance during training or competition? And I would say they can use it by just being that like positive voice in their head. Like even if they make a mistake, they can move past it by using that positive self-talk and stuff, and that way they can enhance their concentration and increase that. And also by just what I used to do to stay concentrated in the game was I would just look at all my surroundings, kind of internally remind myself like what the point was at, what I needed to do for my specific position, and keeping an eye on like like mentally going over the situations that could happen over the next point, I think. And kind of just like I said, using that positive self-talk by just keeping their mindset open, and like I said, being able to move past mistakes pretty quickly is pretty critical to that. And then many students experience periods of academic burnout when exams responsibilities begin to accumulate. What are some signs that academic burnout is developing? What strategies could students use to maintain motivation and manage stress during these periods? I would say some signs of academic burnout developing is just exhaustion, not feeling as motivated to do the assignments, and then not having as much enjoyment for the learning process as a whole, and just kind of going through the motions and not really taking the information in, or kind of stop going to class and stuff like that, is probably what I would say are some like signs. And then what strategies could students use to maintain motivation and manage stress? I would say set a goal and then manage your time. I think time management is really critical when dealing with academic burnout. And like I said, setting a goal or having a reward for yourself and plan, I think that can help motivate people by like saying, if I do well in this exam, I'm gonna like get myself something or something like that. And that like can also help with the stress by having a reward to look forward to. And then many individuals report barriers such as lack of time, energy, and motivation for not exercising. Which barriers do you think are the most difficult to overcome? I would say the lack of motivation would be the most difficult, because there's things like you can manage your time better or increase your energy with certain foods or other stuff like that, but motivation is a very mental thing, and I think that overcoming that mental barrier is way more difficult than overcoming like a physical or environmental barrier. sometimes, because if your mind isn't in it, then your heart's not going to be in it. Then if you have no motivation to start, it's kind of hard for somebody else to have that motivation for you as well. To convince someone else to have that motivation, I would find that very difficult. And then last question. Strategies like social support, tracking progress, and rewards are often used to improve adherence. Which do you think is the most effective and why? I would probably say social support, like having someone right by your side, pushing you and motivating you, and I would say in the best case scenario, doing stuff with you, like both you're working towards the same goal and exercising together. I would say that that is the most effective, because you can really hold yourself accountable when you're not only relying on yourself, but having to rely on this other person and be like, oh, I don't feel like going to the gym today, but this other person that I'm with is going to go and I'm their partner. I think that that's a very motivating thing and can often be more motivating than like a reward, because like I said, even if you can't hold yourself accountable, holding your more people, I feel like, are sometimes more likely to hold themselves accountable when they're with a friend or with a family member that they're working with. And I think that's it for all the questions. Hope you guys have a great week, and see you guys next week.